Hey there, I'm Natasha Tessier. Welcome to my channel. I would love for you to subscribe if you want to know anything and everything there is to know about the city of Houston. I am a local realtor and I own Dwell Realty and Design. A lot of people ask what the design portion is. I used to be an interior designer. I was published in Southern Living. And so I help a lot of people with new construction, but I also help with picking out paint colors or different things. And then we have a whole design team that can kind of help you after you move in if needed. A lot of people don't need that, but we offer that. And if you do a new construction, then all my design services are free and included. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, today I want to talk about the top 5 reasons to move to the Houston suburbs. So, I was born and raised in Houston, further in. We were still in a suburb, but it was definitely in the city. And I've moved further out. So I used to live in Tomball on 2 acres. Now I've moved to Montgomery. I keep getting like further and further away. I've also taught junior high in Katy. So for those of you looking to move to Katy, I know the area very well. And I taught PE there for 5 years and coach volleyball, basketball, and track there. So I know a lot about the suburbs, especially kind of Katy all the way over to the Woodlands area. However, we do have realtors on my team that are down in Pearland and in New Caney. I also have realtors on my team in Dallas and Austin and San Antonio, all over the state of Texas. So if you're ever looking to move to a different area and Houston, you know, isn't where the job is, or maybe you like another area better, I'm happy to help you get hooked up. Okay, so let's move on and talk about the top 5 reasons to move to the Houston suburbs. So my first reason is going to be affordability. So the further you go into the city, obviously the more expensive it gets. I actually just finished a closing an hour ago and they bought a house for $330,000. It was like 3,000 square feet. It was older, but it had established trees and it was a remodel. It was gorgeous. So you're not gonna find that in the nicer areas inside the city. Further out you go, I got another house under contract the other day. It's 2,200, 15-month-old, pretty much brand new house. Doesn't have back neighbors, has a decent sized lawn, and it was $325,000. So you get a lot of bang for your buck in the suburbs. You know, your money just goes a lot further. So if you are on a tighter budget or, you know, need to be certain value or below, then the suburbs will help you get there versus being in the city. You probably will be more likely in an apartment or a townhouse or something like that. So that's number 1. Number 2 I'm gonna talk about is the traffic. So Houston is a huge city. When my husband and I, this is a long time ago, lived in the city, it would take him like an hour and a half to get home from work, and it was like 12 miles because the freeways can get really congested like at 5 o'clock. So now we live out in Montgomery. There's a little intersection near us that gets kind of congested, but there's not a ton of traffic. Like when I go through my day-to-day, I don't ever sit through stoplights. It's just a lot less people. I don't really ever even get on a freeway unless I'm going into town for something. But like my day-to-day, you know, it's just go to the grocery, go to kids' sporting events, whatever. There's not a lot of traffic out this way. But if you're in the city of Houston, it's gotten a lot better since we were there because they've expanded freeways. I mean, I-10 and 59 and all those have been massively expanded since we lived there. But obviously, you know, commute times, it's gonna be longer coming from the suburbs if you have to go all the way in. And I talk about that in other videos. You know, if you wanna be in the suburbs, but you don't wanna be too far out, you may look at Cypress, it's a great suburb, or you may look at the Woodlands, Spring, those kind of areas. Those are great if you need to be closer into the city if your job is in there. Like my husband, he commutes from here to Tomball, so it's like 25 minutes. It's not that big a deal. But if he were coming from Montgomery all the way in, it would be a super long commute. So anyway, less traffic in general, and I love that, just a little slower paced. The third thing to move out to the suburbs is just a smaller town feel. So many of our local pockets, like where I am in Montgomery, in Tomball, and all these little suburbs, they have local farmers markets every single weekend. A lot of local shops, like a friend of mine owns like a local plant shop in downtown Tomball. There's a lot of locally owned restaurants where it's not a chain. So the smaller, kind of more small town feel communities have great, you know, just kind of niche little places, and it gives you that kind of small town feel. In Montgomery and Tomball, they do parades through downtown. They have, you know, a lot of antique shops. Tomball hosts the German festival 2 times a year. So there's just a lot of small town feel going on, and a lot of local bakeries, local restaurants, locally owned places. And I love that. I love going to unique places instead of big chains. So that's a third reason to move out here. The fourth reason I'm going to say is education. A lot of the suburbs, a lot of people move to Montgomery ISD. When we say ISD, that's Independent School District. A lot of people don't know that. So Montgomery ISD has a very highly rated. Tomball always has good ratings. The Woodlands, you know, Conroe ISD, depending on which area, has great ratings. Katy, Cypress, all those school districts, and I have a whole video on school districts, so you can check that out. But all those school districts have, generally speaking, great ratings. Several of them have A's and B ratings, and then each school is rated based on the kids' performance. So you can go in and you can look at that, but a lot of people move out for the schools because a lot of the schools in the city are not as high rated, and so they have to pay for kids to go to private schools, and that can get really expensive. So out here, I would say like, I don't know, 95%, most people, I don't know the exact percentage, but most people send their kids to public schools and they move out here for the public schools. They have buses that come pick the kids up, usually, you know, within a block or so of your house if you work, so that's really nice. And again, if you ever need help looking through the ratings, I can totally show you like this elementary school scores this, you know, how they're scoring and how they're getting those numbers. So that's the next thing, is just education. A lot of people move out to the suburbs because of the education and not having to pay for that private school, which, you know, if you have, like we had 3 kids in private school, and it adds, I mean, it was great, but it adds up. So that is the next thing. Then I would say crime. So, you know, obviously the further you are in the city, the more crime. So a lot of people, and there's all these crime reports that you can look up on an area, but a lot of people move out because they want to get away from that. When I say crime, a lot of it is people leaving their car unlocked with, you know, an item of value in there, and then people open the doors and break into the car. So I'm not talking like, I've never really heard of like house break-ins and things like that, but like in some of the suburbs, as you move further into the city, the crime rate is up, and people, mostly it's car theft, but the further out you go, the less crime tends to happen as you look at the chart. So a lot of people will move out this way to get away from crime. The last thing I would say to add to all that is, you know, there's a ton of families out here. If you're one that's raising kids or thinking about having kids, a lot of people love the master plan communities in the suburbs because it's a really easy way to raise kids. You have your local neighborhood pool. A lot of them have lazy rivers or water slides. They have adult pools. They have dog parks. They have splash pads. And then in those big master plan communities like Town Lake and Wood Forest, they actually have restaurants in the community. Like out in Wood Forest, they have a crust pizza and a grocery store and coffee shops and new bar and grill going in and all sorts of stuff. So it's a really simple way to do life because everything is convenient right within the neighborhood. Town Lake is the same way. There's a boardwalk. A lot of people take their boat to dinner and all sorts of stuff. And there's also a huge neighborhood pool with beach entry and workout facilities. So just the simplicity for families to move out here and have an easy way of life would probably be my last thing. Anyway, I hope that helps going over the top 5 reasons to move well, it was really more than 5, but that's okay, to move to the Houston suburbs. I hope that you enjoyed it. And again, you can always reach out to me. My cell phone is listed below, as well as my email. It's easy to send me a text. I get it almost every day saying, hey, I saw you on YouTube. Can you help us? Yes, we can help you. And you can message me on Instagram. I'm Houston Realtor Natasha. I just started a TikTok, kind of new for me. My kids are getting me into it. But I'm also Houston Realtor Natasha on there. I hope to get that going. And then Facebook, I'm Natasha Tessier. So anyway, any way is convenient for you to reach out, please reach out. Even if you just have a question and you're not sure, no pressure. I'd love to help and love answer any questions that you have. I hope you have a blessed day.